There are two scenarios where you need Medicare, even if you have alternative insurance. First scenario, you are still working at 65, you have group insurance at a company with 19 or less employees. Second scenario, you are past 65, you've left your job and you've been offered Cobra. So what do these two scenarios have in common? With both of them, if you keep your insurance at a company with 19 or less employees, or you stop your job sometime after turning 65 and extend your coverage with Cobra, you do not have a primary payer. Your insurance coverage in both of those fact patterns are secondary to Medicare. So what am I talking about when I say primary versus secondary payer? I'm going to read this definition to you above. This is on the Medicare website. If you have Medicare and other health insurance, like a group health plan, retiree, or Medicaid, each type of coverage is called a payer. The primary payer pays up to the limits of the coverage, then sends the rest of the balance to the secondary payer. So in this scenario, those two that I mentioned to you, they're secondary to Medicare. So what could happen if you don't have a primary payer in place? So I think the best way to explain this is to go into this example behind me. The explanations be exactly the same for the two scenarios, but I still broke it down that way. So let's say you go to the emergency room, you're 65 or older, and you have a $10,000 bill. If you don't have Medicare, which is this column, whether you're in the group coverage or in Cobra, what could happen is your bill may be covered, but it is also possible that your insurance company could later do an audit of that bill and realize that they didn't have the primary responsibility here. So they then could come back to you to get reimbursed. So technically, if you do not have a primary payer in this situation, you're on the hook for $8,000, and your insurance plan should only be on the hook for $2,000. So there's not too many insurance companies that are going to want to pay the $8,000 if it is not technically their responsibility to do so. And I will tell you, if you are in either of these situations, 19 or less employees or Cobra, if you get it in writing that they have agreed to stay primary, then you should be okay. But you just need to be aware of this rule. Now, in the alternative, if you were set up properly, what would have happened is the bill would have been submitted to Medicare. Medicare would pay 80% of that emergency room bill, and your Cobra or your group plan with 19 or less would have paid a portion or all of that remaining 20%. It's going to be dependent on how that plan defines their responsibility. So summing it up, in this situation, if you get it in writing they remain primary, then you could probably stay. In this situation, what you need to do is sign up for Medicare and then assess, is it worth the cost to stay in the group plan or Cobra? Maybe you have a spouse that needs to stay on the plan because they're not eligible for Medicare yet, and it's worth the cost. But otherwise, look at the cost, compare it to a Medicare supplement and a D plan or in the alternative Medicare Advantage, and assess where it's going to be the most cost effective and to get the coverage that you need.